And welcome to Tackle the Board. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter, and my co-host Russ Reese, the Vegas line reader, also on today. Hey, Russ, how are we doing today?
Feeling good, man. Another great weekend. I think we've cashed every single weekend so far. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's unreal. Literally every week, not even including the picks that we put out there that we really like on the Discord. Of course, that you can join, use the code EBOM. You get 10% off with that as well. But the picks we've been putting out here for the most part, they've been winning. The leans have been great. I know I'm 4-0. The last four Revenge Tour games I've had have been 4-0. So we've been cooking, Ross.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I feel like every time I was talking about all those boring unders just talking on the show, and I'm just watching the games. I'm like, these unders are hitting easily. It was like the Browns last week and the Vikings. It was like 14-7. I'm like, I knew the Browns were going to come back. Rex Ryan was bashing them on ESPN. I'm like, all right, now these guys are ready to play. So, but other than that, the weekend was great. Hit all my college football plays, Minnesota, North Carolina.
Yep.
And then we both loved for the NFL. We both had the Cowboys and the Chargers. Those were easy winners. And I think another one you had Washington too,
Washington
right?
as well. That was a little nail biter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a scary one. But hey, bad teams find ways to lose, and that's what the Falcons do. So.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy week as far as NFL goes. I know my college football week got real crazy. I started off a little slow, but at the end I ripped off like 5-6 in a row, so that was pretty good. Just taking a little bit of a small hit, but NFL was another winning NFL week once again. So pretty much I've been undefeated against the spread this year. I lost one player prop. That was my only loss this year. So I'm 2-1 in the player props. But as far as against the spread, I've been perfect for you guys. If you're on the Discord, you've been getting these games.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, we're going to keep dominating again. Did a lot of homework again this week and feeling good.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I cannot wait to dive into this card. But without further ado, let's get into it. Thursday night football. We got the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks, Russ. It is a 2.5 spread. Seahawks again, 2.5. And the total is 54.5.
I like the Rams here. They're going to be pissed off coming off that upset loss last week to the Cardinals. If the Rams are as elite as I think they are going to be, they shouldn't lose this game. I mean, losing 2 games in a row to the division, that's going to be tough. So definitely going to be playing hard in this game. The Rams only put up 20 points last week, so the offense should be bouncing back to Rams defense. Will also be too much for Russell Wilson here. Russell Wilson, 3 games last year versus the Rams, averaged 216 passing yards in those games. So give me the Rams here, 27-20. I'll take them here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Russ. I love this game. Rams are coming off a loss against the Cards. I like them in the spot. McVay has been really great against Seattle in his career, covering 8 of his last 9 games against the Seahawks with a lot of wins under the belt. So he's had the best of the Seahawks, and this hasn't been the best Seahawks team that we've seen in a while. Now you're getting a Seahawks team that just came off a very nice win, and it's kind of like the reversal of the roles here. It's a public perception that we're looking at, Russ. This is very popular with the NFL games at -2.5 for the Rams. I absolutely love it. Thursday night games, I'm not the biggest fans of typically, but this one, I love the spot for the Rams. So I'm there with you as well.
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous about the Rams here, since you always say you're like, I hate these Thursday games. I'm like, oh man, maybe I should just lay off of this one.
Okay. Well, I just talked to Anthony right now. He's having a little technical difficulty right now. We'll be seeing him soon enough. But the show must go on, as they say.
We'll be spitting out winners until he's ready. That's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll be rising and firing. We have no problem doing that. So the next game we got right here is the New York Football Jets at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 46, Russ.
I like the over in this game. The first 3 games for the Jets were against the Patriots, the Panthers, the Broncos. All those teams play good defense. So Zach Wilson looked a lot worse than he really is. He showed last week playing against an average defense that he can put up points. Now he gets to face the weak Falcons this week. Their defense should be able to get in the 20s here at least for the Jets. The Falcons have played 2 games at home also, where they average just 18 points per game. So on the Falcons side, the Falcons should be putting up points here. The Falcons averaged 26 points per game last year at home. So I think we're buying low here on the Falcons. I think this is a good spot for them at home to put up points. So I see a 27-21. This just gets over, but I do like the over here.
Yeah, absolutely. So checking in, Martin checking in said, hello from New Jersey. Well, hello. We're from New
Oh,
Jersey as
yeah.
well.
Jersey
Thanks for
boy.
supporting over here. We appreciate it. Thank you, Martin. But as far as this game goes, I like where your head's at with the over. Falcons defense isn't that good. The Jets defense isn't all that great as well. I actually am leaning more the Jets on this side. I think they're starting to find a little something here with the Jets. I'm not saying they're world beaters, but we talked about many weeks that the Falcons are just not a good team. I mean, you could even look at week 1 against the Eagles where they got smashed. They just have not been good. And the Falcons, they've been terrible as favorites. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games as a favorite. If I'm getting at least 3 points with the Jets here, I'm all about that. So give me the Jets +3.
Yeah, and I totally messed up here because I'm talking about how good the Falcons are at home, actually, but I forgot that this game isn't at home this week. So still good for both teams, though, as they're going to be playing this game overseas now. I totally forgot all about that. So still an over type of game for me. And I am leaning on your side, too, with the Jets. I think this is a good, nice little spread for them. I could see them just winning 2 games in a row, but I don't really see them doing much this season. But this seems like a spot where they could just win a couple in a row, and they'll probably lose a bunch more games later in the season. So definitely a good spot here for the Jets.
Yeah, no problem there. So we just covered the Thursday game, the London game right now.
Exactly.
And now we're going to have our DFS guy here, Anthony Servino. He's going to be breaking down another great DFS week. Anthony, how are we doing today?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Fantastic, man. Another winning week in football. Can't argue.
Yeah, I know. And, as a Cowboys fan, I honestly couldn't be happier.
Oh, absolutely. That was our favorite play of the week. I mean, we put our fandom to the side over here, Anthony.
Yeah,
we're all about
he's got the Giants next week, so he's going to be happy again next week. So
hopefully, hopefully. But Carolina, they made the move. I think Carolina is smart. If trading for Stephon Gilmore and last week trading for C.J. Henderson, they know losing. I think they lost Horn a couple weeks ago, and after a couple of good weeks, this defense looks completely different. And they need to patch it up, and Stephon Gilmore, once he's able to return, I think week 7, it's going to look completely different in Carolina.
Definitely, and hopefully they get McCaffrey back too, right? Right. So I saw last week you called out Hurts. He actually had a great game as they didn't punt once in that game, so that was a good pick.
Yeah, and
what about
Hurts all season long, I believe he's had over 20 fantasy points in every game.
Yeah, exactly. Got any quarterbacks that you love this week?
Quarterbacks that I love this week, Justin Herbert. Right now, he looks like he's more or less matchup proof. He's getting Cleveland, and as good as Cleveland's pass rush is, I do think that secondary has a ways to go, and they're going to be really tested in Cleveland. So if you want to pay up for a quarterback, 77 on FanDuel, 6,800 on DraftKings. But I think the play of the week, and I wrote him up in a sleepers column that I do, Daniel Jones going against my Cowboys. Daniel Jones is another one of those quarterbacks. He's had over 20 fantasy points in all but one game. I think the Falcons were the team that shut him down. But other than that, he's getting it done with his legs and his arms. And now they get the Cowboys. And as good as this defense is playing right now, Dallas is getting leads. And we're seeing a lot of garbage time production. Like DJ Moore, I believe he had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That game was already put away. So I'm expecting a lot of garbage time production out of Daniel Jones.
Nice. I was looking Trey Lance. I was curious if you would throw him in here to get some value pretty quick at only 5,700. I see him at this week.
I like Trey Lance and I like the price, but he's only $300 cheaper than Daniel Jones. At DraftKings, and at least we know what Daniel Jones can do. Trey Lance can come out and look really good and look as advertised, but then Trey Lance can also come out and see that front 7 and Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt and who does it? Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, back-to-back top 10 picks in the past 2 NFL drafts, and they can give him some fits. So I would rather go with the sure thing in Daniel Jones. Plus, I feel like a lot of people are going to go Trey Lance, and he's going to become very chalky in GPPs.
There's
No.
actually, I want to get into another quarterback as well. You talked about him a couple weeks ago. I'm basing this purely on a sports betting line for the most part, but the Vikings, they are now an 8.5-point favorite. They only have one win on the season. This is a game that the Vikings really need to take control of and just, step on the throat of the Lions right here. Could Kirk Cousins have a really big game this week?
The matchup is there certainly against the Detroit Lions. I'm not sure what the total is off the top of my head, but this is a game that I can probably see going over rather easily. And Kirk Cousins, he had a little bit of an off week last week, and this is the right spot for him to bounce back against Detroit.
Yeah, so it's currently at 49.5, so that is pretty high,
and it's in Minnesota. Cousins in his career over 20, right around 24.9 fantasy points per game against the Lions. His 3 out of his last 4 over 23, including 2 games over 30.
Oh, wow.
And that's as a member of the Vikings.
I'm looking at these running backs this week for DFS, and it looks like about 10 of the top 15 guys all have a questionable next to them. Is there any guy that you would just say to avoid this week?
Let's see, running backs that I don't like this week. Wow. Najee Harris. And you would think the matchup is there against Denver because of Baltimore ran down their throats, but Baltimore runs on everybody. Denver's defense is pretty good. They're getting the Steelers. This is a smash under game. It's probably around 40 points, 41 points. Ben Roethlisberger's a little bit banged up. So in theory, Najee Harris is going to see a ton of touches. And a couple weeks ago, Najee Harris returned maximum fantasy value. He had like 400 targets, and I'm obviously exaggerating, but he had like over 20 targets. And that's because Big Ben can't push the ball downfield. So if it's not Big Ben, I think there's going to be, whether it's Mason Rudolph or probably Dwayne Haskins, and if one of them ends up starting, I don't think we're going to see as many checkdowns. So I'm kind of fading Najee Harris. I think at 6,900, you could save a lot of money and go to Trey Sermon for 5,000 at DraftKings.
There's a running back that I'm looking at as well. Tennessee's defense hasn't been all that great. James Robinson for the Jacksonville Jaguars, somebody that they kind of want to feed the ball to. What are your thoughts on him?
I wasn't a big James Robinson guy coming into the season, and he was great last year, but they drafted Travis Etienne, brought in Carlos Hyde, and this looked like James Robinson. And even in redraft leagues, we were drafting James Robinson like he was going to be in a timeshare. Then we see Etienne go down. And then 3 weeks into the season, they deactivate Carlos Hyde. And once again, James Robinson is getting everything in this backfield. And since they've been featuring James Robinson the past 2 games, Trevor Lawrence looks better, especially last week. Like, Trevor Lawrence was pretty efficient, scored a couple of touchdowns on the ground. So if they run this offense through J-Rob, it's going to continue to look a lot better as the season goes on. And James Robinson, 20.6 last week, 25.4 in week 3, and they were both against Cincinnati and Arizona. They're pretty good defenses. They're not great, but they're at least middle of the pack.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to move to your favorite position, the tight end, man. It just keeps getting worse and worse. So see there, we got Hunter Henry's down there, 3,700, and Conklin, he's at 3,500. Seems like some pretty easy matchups. I wasn't sure if you liked either of those guys.
The tight end I'm really looking at is Dalton Schultz, staying in this Cowboys Giants matchup. Dalton Schultz has come out of nowhere this season. And really last year when Blake Jarwin was injured, Dalton Schultz had a pretty good year, especially when Dak was in for the first 5 games. And now we're picking up in 2021. And, including myself, I had Dalton Schultz ranked ahead of, Blake Jarwin ranked ahead of Dalton Schultz. And now we're heading into week 5, and Dalton Schultz is dominating the snap share, running more routes, and, scoring touchdowns, showing his rapport with Dak Prescott. And the Giants are not that good against a tight end. They're one of the bottom 12 teams in fantasy points allowed. And I can see Dalton Schultz scoring again this week.
There's actually a tight end that I'm looking at here. I think he's kind of just a safety blanket nowadays, but Gesicki for the Miami Dolphins. I think Jacoby Brissett, this seems like a really good spot for him. What are your thoughts on him?
Listen, Gesicki was a nice play last week, and I have a revolving co-host chair on my show, and he was saying that this is a Gesicki week because Jacoby Brissett, his overutilized the tight ends in Indianapolis, and that's going to be the safety blanket. And that made all the sense in the world. And in the past 2 games with Jacoby Brissett, Gesicki, 12 targets week 3, 6 targets last week, and obviously returned 5 receptions and a touchdown, 57 yards. But back-to-back weeks with Jacoby Brissett finishing as a top 7 fantasy tight end with over 16 fantasy points in both of those games. So, yeah, at Gesicki's price point, I think he's in pretty good shape, at least until Tua comes back.
Mm-hmm. As far as the defenses go, I know there's always chalk at the top and everything like that. But after watching that Chargers defense on Monday night, just the eyeball test for the most part, they were getting after it a lot. I don't know if it was just bad coaching based on Gruden for the most part, but do you think them being kind of a lower amount for the most part, do you think that's a good play for the Chargers this week against the Browns?
I like the Chargers defense, but the Browns are one of those teams like Baltimore. No matter how good your front 7 is, they're going to continue to run. They'll eventually wear you down and break off. I don't mind the Chargers, but my defensive play, if you don't want to spend anything and build your rosters elsewhere, the Raiders against Justin Fields. There is no David Montgomery this week. He's going to miss about 5 to 7 weeks with the injury he suffered last week. And not that Damian Williams isn't a capable backup, but he is nowhere near David Montgomery, especially at this point. So you have a rookie starting quarterback. You have Allen Robinson, who can't get out of his own way. Cole Kmet looks like a bust right now. Their most productive offensive player outside of David Montgomery, who's hurt, is Darnell Mooney. And again, Justin Fields, and they can't really block. This should be a smash spot for this Raiders defense.
All right. So now we're just looking at, just pretty much how we're going to start our lineups this week. You know how we always do. We do QB, running back, wide receiver. Who are our must-get play guys pretty much to start this week?
I'm going to roll out Daniel Jones at quarterback. I like the price point, and I love the matchup going against Dallas. At the running back position, if you want to go for a value play, I like Trey Sermon, and obviously you're going to pivot off of him if Elijah Mitchell comes back. But Trey Sermon, he scored the touchdown 2 weeks ago. Last week he was pretty efficient, and now he's going against Arizona. San Francisco, this defense is not the same as it was under Robert Saleh. So the best way to keep the ball out of Kyler's hands is by featuring the running game even more than they normally do. So I love Trey Sermon as a 5K value play, and I would keep paying up for Derrick Henry. It's week after week, and Derrick Henry is returning maximum value, and now he's getting the Jacksonville Jaguars, another smash spot, a team he normally absolutely destroys. If you want to go to the wide receiver position, I would look at either Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb from Dallas. They're not going to throw the ball a ton, but one of these guys are going to find the end zone or get the yards. And really, Amari Cooper, for the upside he brings, he's only priced at 6,100 at DraftKings. People are kind of in on Odell Beckham Jr. I'm completely out. He's been a disappointment without Jarvis Landry the past 2 weeks, and now he's getting the Chargers. It's a pretty good secondary, as we were talking about earlier. So I would actually avoid Odell Beckham Jr. And pay up a little bit for Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had a big game last week, completely overshadowed Mike Williams, who's been off to a good start. And I think this could be a matchup where they continue to feature Keenan Allen. And then out at the tight end position, if you want to go to a mid-range player, I would look at Schultz, as we talked about. If you want to go for an expensive option, maybe this is a George Kittle week going against Arizona. And if you want to go for a really cheap value option, Evan Ingram, because Dallas is pretty soft against the tight end.
Yeah, I know. As far as that Henry play, when you see all that red with the questionables, just go with old reliable Henry, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you again for coming on, Anthony.
Absolutely.
Where can we find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at The Real NFL Guru, and my show at the FF Faceoff and fffaceoff.com.
All right, man. Let's go.
Thanks a lot, Anthony.
Thank you.
Have a good week, guys.
All right, take it easy.
You too, man.
All right, that's Anthony Servina, our DFS guy coming in. So ready to roll with some DFS. And speaking of keeping it rolling right now, let's keep rolling with these games for the NFL, Russ.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to roll, man.
Speaking of a game here, you got the Miami Dolphins at the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks are laying 10 points. The over-under is 48. Where are we going, Russ?
I like the Bucks here. The Bucks are coming off 2 games where the offense didn't do much at all. They scored 17 points last week, 24 points the week before that against the Rams, but those were 2 tough road games. So now they get to come back home, facing the Dolphins, who actually have last week I saw Byron Jones actually got hurt, one of their solid cornerbacks. So that's going to be trouble for the Dolphins. Brady loves to pick apart weakness in the defense, so he may not play this game. And Brissett, he's the worst quarterback in the NFL right now, averaging 4.9 yards per attempt. That's worse than the NFL. Bucks secondary is their weakness, but Dolphins aren't going to be able to take advantage of that weakness. I'll take the Bucks here, 34-17.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of back and forth on this game. Personally, not a game I really liked that much. I mean, we saw Tampa Bay last week. This is the public perception, like we talked about before. They played that close game. Everyone took the Bucks, and they didn't cover that game. It was a sloppy, raining game. The defense actually played really well for the Patriots for that game for the most part. I think you got me convinced with the Bucks, Russ. I'm not going to lie. I think this is a very good spot where a lot of people are going to take the Dolphins just based on being disappointed with the Bucks before, and this could be a bounce back game against the spread. So I'll side with you with the Bucks, but this is kind of a game I'm probably stay away from for the most part.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll probably stay away from this game, but if I were to lean aside, definitely taking the Bucks here.
Yeah. So the next game is the Green Bay Packers at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are getting 3 points. The over-under is 51.5. Russ, what are we doing here?
I like the over here. I mean, both teams, they have average defenses right now, and both offenses have a lot of weapons. So Bengals' highest amount of points that they've given up in their 4 games is 24. So this is definitely going to be the best offense that they faced with Rodgers. Then the Packers defense, they faced Winston, Goff, Garoppolo, Big Ben, all average to below average quarterbacks. Burrow is better than all those quarterbacks. He should be able to put up points. This is a non-conference game. So the defense probably won't show up for both teams. I think this goes way over. I say 34-30 here.
Yeah, could not agree more. Love the over here. I think it's an automatic smash play over on the 51.5. If I had to lean aside, I probably would lean Green Bay because I think this could be kind of the game where Rodgers could really go off here for the most part. A lot of people are falling in love with that Bengals team. People aren't taking the Packers. They're not real big public darling, if you will, this year with all the mess that's been going on with them for the most part, with the whole Aaron Rodgers saga and everything like that. I would lean Green Bay, but that over, I'm right there with you. I love it.
Definitely.
So the next game is the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are getting 4 points. The over-under is 48.5.
I'll take the Titans here. Just seems like another spot. The Titans need to bounce back, losing to a bad team in the Jets last week. You don't really see an average to a good team like the Titans lose 2 games in a row to 2 terrible teams. So Jaguars did last week. They proved that they're a bad team. They went up, and then what bad teams do is they know how to blow games and lose it at the end. So Jaguars are just not a good team. I'll trust the Titans here. Probably not. I mean, the wide receivers are banged up for the Titans, but I think they may play Jones and Brown. So I'm a little iffy about this game, but I think the Titans squeak it out 27-20.
Yeah, the Jags going to have a really hard time with Henry, and Tannehill's still serviceable. He's still got a good arm. He can run with his, the legs and everything like that. I like the over a lot, honestly. I think you're going to get more production from this Jaguars offense now, especially with Lawrence trying to feel. He's been getting some really good throws. I think James Robinson's going to be a really good play as well. We talked with Anthony before that I brought up. I feel like he could have a really good spot here. And Tennessee's defense hasn't really been that good, and they're going to put up points as well. So I'm more on the over 48.5. I think this could be like a 34 to like 27 kind of game, give or take. That's what I'm looking at. So the next game is the New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. The Texans are plus 8.5. The over under us 39.5. Where are we going with this?
Exactly. This is a team total here. I'm going to take the under on the Texans 15 points. Yeah, The Patriots defense, they're going to be motivated. They're now 1-3 on the season, so this is not good for the Texans. So the Patriots actually impressed me last week with how their defense played. Patriots are 4th in NFL in passing yards allowed. Now they get to face actually the worst quarterback in the NFL, worse than Brissett here. 24-13 type of game here. Give me the Texans under 15 points, because if the Texans do score over the 15 points, I feel like the Patriots won't cover that spread because it's going to be such a low scoring game. So I'm just going to root completely against the Texans to score under the 15 points.
Russ, I love these kind of games. You get these low over-unders and high spreads.
Yeah.
You only can go one way, Russ,
Yeah.
and that's the under and the favorite. Like you said, the Patriots are going to lay the smack down on them on defense. They're not doing that well this year. They need to make a statement. The team looked pretty good against the Bucs. They did not look bad at all. I think this could be a really, really ugly game. It's low because, like you said, the Texans are not going to really score here. And Mac Jones looked pretty decent. He did not look terrible. The defense looked really well for the Patriots. Give me the Patriots minus the 8.5 and the under 39.5. I can't believe I'm saying going under with a 39.5, but we will take it to the
nice
bank.
Little same game parlay there.
Absolutely. We can bank on that.
Bro,
No
probably same game parlay. Just take every under for every single player on the Texans, and you'll make some money.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one ugly game that hopefully we will not see. So the next game is the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. The over-under is 49.5, Russ.
Yeah, I got the Vikings here. Another spot here. We got the Lions, bad team catching a terrible spot. Vikings are coming off a game where they actually only scored 7 points last week. So Dalvin Cook, he only had 34 rushing yards in that game. He's banged up, but I think he's going to play here. The offense, again, should put up big numbers against the Lions, who don't play any defense. And if the Vikings are going to be putting up points, Goff's going to be playing from behind, which isn't good. This leads to turnovers. He likes to throw pick sixes too. So 31-17 type of game. Give me the Vikings.
Yeah, this is a spot where the Vikings really need to make a statement, and it being 8.5 really says a lot here. I like the Vikings here to win this by double digits, and I actually really like the over here, 49.5. When it comes to Detroit, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games as a road underdog. They tend to get those points at the end of the game to build up that over, the garbage points, as you will. The Lions are notorious for that. And then Minnesota in general, they're always like a team that we always talk about defense, but Kirk Cousins has been putting up those points. Maybe that's giving them a little more comfortability, if you will. The over is 4-0 for the Vikings in their last 4 games, falling against the spread loss. So, yeah, I think this is where we need to go with it. We need to go Vikings minus 8.5 and the over under at 49.5. The next game we're going into is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are laying 3.5 points. The over under is 45.5, Russ.
This is actually a great game. I like the under here. I mean, you got Hurts. He put up big numbers, but he does it against bad defenses. The best defense that he faced this year was the 49ers, and they gave up, it looks like they scored 11 points in that game. They couldn't score in the red zone. I remember watching that game. The 49ers also had key guys that were hurt on defense. They were taking advantage of Josh Norman in that game, and they still couldn't put up any points. So facing the Panthers on the road, this is going to be their toughest test of the season. Then you got the Eagles side. The Eagles defense, they give up big numbers, 41 last week, or 42 last week to the Chiefs, 41 2 weeks ago to the Cowboys. So 2 high-powered offenses, though. So everyone's going to think that the defense is terrible. But these are just 2 teams that like to play defense. The Eagles defense actually are only giving up, they're 7th in the NFL and giving up passing yards allowed. So it's pretty impressive after they've just given up 2 huge games. The defense isn't as bad as what people think they are. So 21-17. I think the Eagles probably lose, but it's a close game.
Yeah, I like the under as well. This is the perfect under number right here, especially with all the points that have been going on between the Eagles. This line is screaming under right here. I think the Eagles are a little bit more alive than you're giving them credit for. I think you only have to watch out for Darnold for the most part, getting a rushing touchdown. I think he did it twice last week. Hopefully the Eagles can look at some tape and be like, hey, this guy keeps running for like 10-yard TDs over here. So I think this is a desperation game for the Eagles.
Yeah, I heard he set a record or something in the first 5 games. He's got the most rushing touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. This is a big game for the Eagles. They need to figure something out here. Can they really go where they are? They're 1-3, correct?
Yeah.
They're 1-3. Are they going to really? I mean, we weren't really that big on the Eagles this year, but will they go 1-4 here? I mean, it's a possibility, but I think it's a possibility, but I think the 3.5 points is plenty. It could be a heartbreaking field goal game or the Eagles winning outright. I'll take the Birds plus 3.5. I have no problem taking that, but the under is definitely the play here. And we've been agreeing on some games here. That's a good sign for you guys because we haven't talked about these games at all. So
yeah, it's all about the Eagles offensive line too. Lane Johnson, he's personal problems. He hasn't come back to the team yet, so. Definitely need him back with the team because I remember Wentz, his record was terrible when Lane Johnson wasn't in. So definitely need him back.
Yeah. Next game, the Denver Broncos at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are laying 1 point. The over-under, Russ, again, 39.5. What are we doing here?
I know. I don't know what's going on this year. I just love these unders, man. This is another under game for me. Just by looking at the line, the Broncos aren't favored in this game, so it's telling me Bridgewater isn't playing in this game. For the Steelers to be favored in this game, that means Locke's going to be playing. I feel like the Broncos said they're actually Fangio's trying to find a quarterback. So
oh my goodness,
that's how bad Locke is right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So last year the teams faced off and the score was 26-21. So there was actually a lot of points scored, 47 points. So I love that people like looking back say, oh, last year they scored 47 points, but that was a Steelers team that actually had a good offensive line. They lost all their offensive linemen this year. They can't score points. Both teams aren't going to be able to score at all. This should be another one that's going to probably drop down to 39 points. So I would grab this under now while you can. So I definitely like the under.
Yeah, both these offenses just haven't been that great. I mean, I believe Jared Judy's out. I mean, that was a big part of their offense before. I mean, that was such a killer for them. He's been out. And then now that Bridgewater, is he going to pass protocol? That's like the number one thing. If he passes protocol, I think Broncos are definitely the play here. I talked about the last game with the over 39.5 and the big spread. This is kind of the opposite over here. This is a low spread with the low over under. This is a dog kind of situation. I feel like Broncos getting that point, I feel like is a good spot here. Even that's crazy because you know what? Even Denver, like they even started a wide receiver, at quarterback. Look at that mess last year with COVID and everything.
I don't think they'll get that desperate. I think they know that doesn't work out too well.
But if I had to take a side, Pittsburgh has been bad. I mean, I remember I heard you talking about before when Big Ben scored a touchdown. He was celebrating like he won the Super Bowl. Like he couldn't believe it. And that's never a good sign.
He gets one touchdown a game, and he's like looking around like, "Holy shit! I scored a touchdown!" Like what the? You threw a deep pass to Deontay Johnson. Thank God he had Deontay Johnson back last week because he was out the week before that. So luckily he came back for him.
Right,
or he would have had 0 touchdowns.
There you go, Russ. I got a little update for you over here. Our boy Martin's checking in. He says Cardinals up 1-0 end of the third.
Oh, okay.
Feeling froggy over there in the
end
baseball
of the third.
world.
Okay, yes. I've had a feeling. I sent out a free pick about taking the under tonight. I just knew Scherzer's going to be dealing, I'm sure, and but not going to talk all baseball. So
no, but you're the man when it comes to baseball, man. Yeah, they know this. If you follow him at Vegas Line Reader, he's the best baseball guy out there. I always send all my people that want to bet baseball to you. So guys, be sure to follow him, especially besides the football seasons, of course.
Come on, man. You're making me blush over here.
Oh, come on, man. I gotta, give credit where credit's due. So, you talk about Mac and the Pac-12 and everything, I'm
exactly. Yep. I listen to you when it comes to the Mac, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for your Ball State pick this week.
Oh, man. We'll soon find out late enough. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But on to the next game anyway. We got the Saints at the Washington football team. Washington is getting 2 points, and the over-under is 44, Russ.
I like the Washington football team here in this spot. I can't trust the Saints. I mean, whenever I see them, they're just a team that I'm fading this year. So when I see them in a favorite spot, this is when I'm just going to go against them. Nothing looks good with the Saints. I mean, Winston's played 4 games so far. He's averaging 153 passing yards a game. It's absolutely awful. So the offense isn't doing much. He doesn't have any good wide receivers to throw to on that team. The defense is also still banged up, and they're 31st in the NFL in sacks a game, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Washington, this is just a good spot where I just feel like you're just they're just playing terrible defense right now. 30 points per game on defense. I mean, this team, I said before the season, we both talked about it, that the defense wasn't going to be as good as they were last year. Everybody was hyping them up, but 30 points per game so far, that's just absolutely crazy. The defense is not that bad. So I just feel like they're at home in this game. The over-under is only 44. I just feel like they're going to hold the Saints. I'm very confident. I think they're going to hold them under literally 10 points. That's how confident I am in this game. Washington's next two games are against the Chiefs and the Packers. So those are going to be two higher scoring games. So I just feel like this has to be a defensive low scoring game. I say Washington 24-13 type of score.
Yeah, I mean, that'll definitely hit the under right
Yeah,
there.
right.
Yeah, I mean, that just hits a good right there. 44 is a low number, a typical under kind of game. I like where your head's at there. I know that you feel that Washington's going to be the team this week. The underdog is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings when they have played, for take it for what it's worth and everything. The dog has been barking here, especially. They gave me a heart attack last week. I'm not going to lie. But we got
that was a tough game at Falcons too, playing on turf on the road.
The fast turf. Yeah.
The thing is with the Saints, the 2 games that they were favored this year, they didn't cover the 2 games as favorites, but they've covered the 2 games as dogs. So they're just a team that's playing good as a dog and are not playing well as a favorite. There's just certain teams that play like that. Yeah, usually bad teams.
Yeah, and the trends show it for sure. So I mean, I will be on with you with the Washington football team. I'll hold my nose and go from there. But I think you're in the right direction now. You know, it's just it sometimes we have to stay away from that public perception. We always talk about it, and I preach it all the time, and I'm going to do it here again because I was happy with that cover. We really liked them that week, and that was kind of not the best spot for them, but we felt that was the right play, and it worked out. You know, sometimes those games work out for you that way, but we'll roll with them another week. So let's do that. So the next game we're going to get into is the Chicago Bears at the Raiders. Raiders are laying 5. The over-under, once again, 44, Russ.
This is another under game here. I was going to side with the Bears, but I can't trust now I'm losing his name already.
Fields,
yes,
right.
Thank you. I can't trust Fields in this game on the road at the Raiders. The Raiders have a good front 4, so that makes me nervous. So that's why I just feel like this is an under type of game here. I also think the Raiders are overrated. They took advantage of banged up defenses early in the season. If you watched them last week, you would have seen that the Chargers defense was getting pressure on the Raiders pretty easily. And now they're facing the Bears, who actually are number 1 in sacks on the season. So this is definitely an under game for me, 20-14 type of game. I'll take the under all day.
Yeah, the Bears, just in general, are the worst passing team by yards in the NFL, which is shocking because you have terrible teams like the Texans and other teams like that, which blows my mind because I don't know, Mills isn't having the least amount of passing yards. Every time I see him, he hands the ball off. But the pass defense of the Raiders has actually been decent, ranked 13th this year in the NFL. Not great, not bad. But so I'm looking at this game. It's going to be tough because the Raiders defense did look pretty good. They were able to get some sort of work, and they were just put in bad spots constantly with the Chargers because the Chargers defense was just balling the whole time. But this under, I think this is the right spot right here for the most part. I actually kind of like the Bears here to get these points right here. If the Raiders didn't get dominated that game, I would have loved the Bears even more, but this could just be like a pissed off kind of game where the Raiders just come out here and they just want to take it to the Bears. But I think the under's the play here, and then we just stay away from the side because it could go either way, honestly.
So what's your take from that Raiders-Chargers game? Do you feel that game was close, or do you feel like the Chargers dominated the game?
I feel like the Chargers dominated that game, honestly. I think Herbert looked absolutely amazing.
That's what I said.
As far as the defense was for the Chargers, they got after it. Their corners were nasty.
Definitely.
Bosa was good. I mean, they just were nasty on all cylinders on defense. I don't think
I've been hearing
about it.
I've been hearing all over the radio and on TV. They're all like, "Oh, the Raiders, this game was a lot closer than people must have had the Raiders or something, because they're like, this game was a lot closer than it was. I'm like, no, just because you came back and you were down 7 points, I was never nervous in that game. I'm just like, all right, the Chargers are just going to win here. I'm like, they've been comfortably picking up the third downs all game. So I was just curious what your perspective of that game
Yeah,
was.
and honestly, their offense was in the negatives like for the entire game. David Carr with his weapons and everything, with the run game and everything, and for that defense to really shut them down that bad. I mean, it was
he chucked up one ball and got a pass interference call,
Yeah.
and then he threw another deep pass to Ruggs. They didn't do any consistency on offense at all.
No, it was a mess, and Jacobs is still banged up, so that's also still a question. He's playing, but he's still been banged up. So this Raiders team is getting in their way a little bit. They're having a tough time. It's going to be tough for them down the road. They got a little lucky at the beginning of the season, but now things are coming to fruition right now.
Definitely.
The next game is the Cleveland Browns at the LA Chargers we just talked about. The Chargers are laying 2 points. The over-under is 46.5, Russ.
Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. This week is just very tough with the spreads this week. It's very tough matchups. This is another under game for me. Two teams that I have making the playoffs here just has that type of atmosphere. I just see both of these quarterbacks. They complete a lot of passes, and there's going to be a lot of running in this game. So definitely confident more in the under here. I feel it's like a 24-23 type of game. But spread wise, I like both of these teams from the start of the season, so I can't really pick this game. I would probably maybe side with the Chargers here just because the Browns won a big game last week on the road against the Vikings. So probably a better spot for the Chargers here. Hopefully the Browns don't take over the stadium.
Yeah, I know, right? So when I'm looking at both an offensive defensive sides here, Cleveland's pass offense is terrible. It's 26th in the NFL, but the Chargers pass defense is ranked 5th. If you look at the other end over here, Cleveland's running offense is number 1 in the NFL, and then the Chargers rush defense is 29th in the NFL. So you both get both ends right here, and it's like, which one's going to bend, which one's going to break, who's going to really take over? I always tend to side with the quarterback over here in the NFL. You know, it's a quarterback-driven league, and Baker Mayfield, you know, he hasn't been overwhelming. I really like what Herbert's doing this year. He's been getting the ball out really quick, and he's been able just to sit in there and just fire away, take his hits, everything like that. Eckler's been pretty decent. He's starting to pick it up now a little bit. So this under does look good, but I have to side with the Chargers here. I think this is just you're staying back-to-back home games right here. I think that you're getting more comfortability with your young quarterback being at home again after a Monday night game. It's a short week, but I think it's good for this kind of quarterback to keep his mojo and, you know, the whole flow going. So give me the Chargers -2 here.
Nice.
Next game is the New York Football Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. The line is now -7. The over-under is 52.5, Russ.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys here. I've been hearing a lot of talk also all over the radio. People are just saying that they like the Giants just because it's a division game. I've been hearing that a lot this week. But I just feel like this is more of a perfect spot for the Cowboys. They seem to be getting lucky all year with these perfect spots. So now they get to face the Giants, who have a ton of injuries. Last week, the Giants snuck away with the win, actually, last week. +7 dog last week. So now that Dallas gets to face Giants coming in here on the road, Giants were actually down double digits, like down 10 with like 7 minutes left in that game. Somehow pulled off the win in that game. So Giants are just still a bad team. We talked about Blake Martinez a couple weeks ago. He's loves to stop the run. When the Cowboys get moving, when Zeke's going to be getting the ball and Pollard's going to be getting the ball here, I just feel like they're going to wear down the Giants here. So I feel like it's going to be controlled type of game. I think it's going to be like a 31-20 type of game. I think the Cowboys win this pretty easy.
Yeah, with your Cowboys scenario pretty much going on here, if you want to get inside the stats for the most part, total yards for the NFL, for the offense, they're ranked 3rd in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys are. And defensively giving up yards, the New York Giants
what about the Giants?
They're 22nd. So they do have a big advantage as far as the offensive side of the ball goes. And then the rush defense hasn't been that great for the Giants either. They're ranked 20th in NFL, and the Cowboys are ranked second in the NFL in rushing yards. So that's something else to look at as well. I love the over here. I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. I think both defenses aren't going to be able to do much here. Cowboys pass defense is ranked 31st in the NFL when it comes to passing yards. And actually the Giants are ranked 7th offensively passing yards in the NFL, which I was kind of shocked about because I guess Daniel Jones getting more time, being more elusive, those kind of things. The passing yards, it's been 282.5 passing yards per game for the New York Giants offense. So Daniel Jones, he hasn't been making too many mistakes. He's been getting a little bit better. And I don't think people are talking about that as much. And I think that's going to lead to the over. So I am more on the over side when it comes to it. But
no, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just saying if anyone does like the Giants in this game, I would just say to take their total points over because I had that stat last week. The last 7 games Dak has played at home, he's averaging like 40 points per game. So Daniel Jones, the only way that they cover this is if he keeps up with them, and he's got to get over, what is it? It's probably not that much in the 20s he's got to hit in order to hit this. What is that? Probably.
Yeah, I'll check it out for you right now.
He's got to hit. Yeah,
let me check that out right now. Let's see here. Let's get.
Or it would be like 22 points around there. It would probably be 21 and a half.
Yeah, probably points. Give or take around there. I'm just not seeing it at this moment in time. But game props. Let's see. Giants team total points is over 22.5 points. So
that's what I'm saying. If people like the Giants spread, I would just take the over on his points because if they score under 22.5 points, there's no way I feel like they're going to cover that game.
No, never.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So. No, and I actually kind of like that over now that you brought that up. That was a really good point. Over 22.5 points with the Giants. I don't know if they're going to cover, but I know they're going to score over 22.5 points. You get 3 touchdowns and a field goal. I think that's more than doable against this defense.
Yeah, I just have no clue what I'm getting out of Daniel Jones. He's been like hit or miss. Like what did he do? He had a great game against Washington. Remember, he was lights out. And then against the Falcons, he did nothing. It's just like, what Daniel Jones are we going to get? You know?
Right.
So
exactly. But let's move on to our next game here. We got the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are laying 5.5 points. The over-under is 49.5.
I like the 49ers here, actually. I love that Garoppolo actually got hurt. I've been waiting for it all season. So I see Trey Lance starting in this spot because the spread's actually talking to me why it went up to 5.5. So this is definitely a line that's showing me that Trey Lance is going to play here. Cardinals have an average defense. I mean, people are still talking up that they have a great defense, but I don't trust it right now. If they show me that they play some good defense here, then I'll trust that the Cardinals are actually might be an elite team this year. But Kyler Murray, he doesn't cover as a favorite. He's 5-8 in his career as a favorite. So the 49ers are going to be pissed off. They just lost a division game. They got a great coach. So I just feel like them getting points, this is a good spot here. 28-24 type of game. Give me the 49ers.
Yeah, the underdog in this matchup is 5-0-1 their last 6 meetings. Oh, wow. So Shanahan has been a good dog in this matchup, and I think this is a great spot. We jumped on Seattle last week. We absolutely loved the fact that Russ Wilson did not win the last 2 times and lost against the spread. That was a desperation game for the Seahawks. This is the same kind of thing that the 49ers are going to need to get into. Plus 5.5. I absolutely loved it. I think this might just be an under kind of game. I think you're going to get a really hard fought game. That 5.5 is going to come into play. It's going to be a tight game. And if it's going to be a tight game, it's going to be a low scoring game. So I like the under as well, but I'm right there with you. 49ers plus 5.5.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's always great when you have a dog and Trey Lance can use his legs. So even if like we're down 10 points, they could just come down and just get a backdoor, they'll just give that right up. So definitely like this game getting points.
Yeah, and is it officially that the Trey Lance is playing, or is it just kind of talk?
I can just tell by this line. That's why with the Bridgewater line and this line, I could just tell going to 5.5. Like this spread, would be at 4 or something. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like the Cardinals should not be favored by this many points. So it kind of makes sense that Trey Lance is playing. And I think this over-under dropped actually from 53 to 49. I think I
Yeah.
saw like
Mm-hmm.
some movement on that. So I think that's why there's some movement on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we're going to go to Sunday night. The Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are laying 2.5 points. The over-under is 56.5. Russ, where are we going with this night game?
I'm actually going to take the Bills here. The Bills want revenge. They were actually knocked out of the playoffs last year versus the Chiefs, and the Chiefs' defense just looks much worse than last year, and the Bills' defense actually looks much better than last year. So I think the Bills are more improved. They're more balanced team this year. I actually like them. The problem last year is the defense was a little iffy, and they didn't have a run game. But I definitely like them this season. The Chiefs defense, it seem like they have so many issues. And then last week, the Chiefs, they didn't punt one time in that game last week. This is going to be a different style type of game. The Bills are going to be jacked up for this game. They're actually going to see a defense. The Chiefs have been facing some pretty easy defenses. So I think it's going to be a crazy game still, 35-34 type of game. I mean, I would side with the over, of course, in this game. I think the game gets nuts. So I would probably parlay the Bills with the over.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The Bills plus the points here, a nice revenge factor that's going to be on your side. We talk about the revenge tour on the college side, which we will get into later. But this is what it really comes down to. The Chiefs defense stinks. It's really bad. And we know how Josh Allen, how good he can be. Even if Bills defense is somewhat decent, I just don't know if they're going to be able to catch up with the Bills this week. There's a lot of revenge factor with this as well. I mean, points scored. No one scores more points against the defense, than, the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense gives up the most points. That over does look good. And I'll ride with you there with the Buffalo Bills plus 2.5.
Yeah, because last week was for the Chiefs. It was one of those big motivation. They lost a couple games. Like, this is a get right game. Defense come out. Defense didn't do anything. So for the defense to have to come out and do something, and they still gave up 30 points, that shows you that they definitely have some issues.
Absolutely. And we're going to go to Monday night. Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens. Minus 6.5. The over under 45. Russ, where are we going?
I actually like the Ravens here. The Colts, they got their first win last week, but I'm not going to go nuts just because they beat Jacoby Brissett, one of the worst quarterbacks right now. Wentz, he's just not mobile right now at all. Who knows if he's still not moving with those 2 sprained ankles from a couple of weeks ago. And the team still has a bunch of injuries. The offensive line, they got 2 or 3 guys that are still banged up. And the Ravens are a team. They're actually one of the teams that actually blitz the most. So I don't trust Wentz with the Ravens blitzing a lot in this game. And the Ravens are at home. I just feel like the crowd, they'll probably be jacked up for this game. It's still an AFC type of game, so they'll be motivated to win this game. So 27-17 type of game. I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. I saw the line when it first came out. It was 7.5. I like the Colts in the spot getting over a touchdown. The Ravens really haven't impressed me too much this year. I know they had that win against Kansas City, which was nice, but we have to remember how bad Kansas City's defense really is. Lamar's dealing with some injury issues as well, so he's been banged up too. So both quarterbacks, both banged up. If I can get over a touchdown here, I do like the Colts here, but I see this being an under game. I think that, just get through this game. It's going to be ugly. That's perfect for an under kind of game. So I'm actually more about the under for 45.
Definitely. And what's it at? 48, right?
45.
Oh, it's at 4. Oh, so that's what I was just going to say. So I put my lines up pretty early, or I do a lot of my information early in the week.
Yep.
So I look at my number and I see it was at 48, so it's dropped down to 45. It's pretty crazy. So definitely an under is a smart play there.
Yeah. And now that we're done the NFL card right now, we're going to get into college. We got 4 games that we're going to talk about here. The 2 marquee games we're going to get into now, the Red River Shootout, if you will. Oklahoma at Texas at the Cotton Bowl. So it's not really at Texas, but it's at the Cotton Bowl. The Longhorns getting 3.5. The over-under, Russ, is 63.5. Where are we going here, Russ?
I'm racking my brain on this game. This is something that I'm actually just going to throw it to you for this game because it just seems so I'm looking at Oklahoma. I've seen all their games. They're just winning all these like ugly, close games. I saw Nebraska and all that. It's just like I don't like both of these teams. So whenever I don't like both the teams, I just say, let's throw it over to Chris.
Okay, fair enough. No problem. I have no problem touching this game right here. Look, I was seeing this game going to be like maybe if Oklahoma was playing how Oklahoma was supposed to be playing, this should have been like a touchdown, like 7.5 point favorite for Oklahoma, but it's at 3.5. This line's low for a reason. Texas offense has been pretty dominant besides the Arkansas game. They've been averaging 43.8 points a game. The running game's been great with the running backs. They've been getting at least 6 yards a carry. Robinson's led this group. Casey Thompson at QB, he's been solid, 71% completion percentage. He's been pretty good here. Oklahoma, I mean, Spencer Rattler, he's been the big talk for the Heisman. He's actually having a much better year than people are giving him credit for. Marvin Mims, he's been excellent, averaging 18 yards a catch. The defense is what I have an issue with, Russ. This defense was supposed to be one of the best in the entire nation. And this defense has shown up, hasn't shown up, back and forth. Kansas State game, Skylar Thompson comes back. They play. They give him a hard time. They've had some hard times here. This hasn't been – the run game's been terrible for Oklahoma, which I think's been a really bad point for them. Their offensive line hasn't been that good either. This defense just hasn't lived up to the hype. I'm all about the Longhorns. I think they could win this game outright. I don't know if Oklahoma can squeak out another win over here. The Longhorns are 5-1 against the spread at neutral site games, so they're good at these kind of games. I know this is the Sarkisian, this is his new era going on, and he's a good coach. He's just had some bad spots here and there throughout his career, which is troubles and things of that nature and everything. But give me the Longhorns plus 3.5 here, Russ.
Yeah, there's a bright spot. I'm a little impressed with Texas because I saw everyone. There was so much action on Texas last week. Everybody had them. I think they just barely covered the spread by 1 point or something. And I love when I see Twitter going nuts. It's like 100. I'm like, just click on. I see 150,000 tweets, and everyone's just loading up on Texas. I'm like, everyone's going down this week. But somehow everyone got lucky, and it looked like they covered by a point in that game. So definitely a look ahead game for them, and they still covered the spread. So Texas is looking solid, so I would side with you with Texas on that game.
Yeah. So the next game we're getting into is a big Big Ten matchup. This is the biggest matchup on the card. Penn State at Iowa. Now it's plus 1.5. The over/under is 41. Russ, what do we like?
Yeah, I'm with. I like Penn State here, and the line is even talking to me. I mean, you got a third-ranked team and a fourth-ranked team. And you always got to love the team that's on the road and they're getting under a field goal. That's just telling you that's the Penn State kind of line right here. And Iowa actually blew them out last year, 41-21. So definitely big revenge here for Penn State. And Penn State's much improved this season. I can just see them taking down Iowa here after Iowa impressed everyone with a big victory. So you see Iowa with that huge victory, and now they're at home. Everyone's like, wow, they killed Maryland, and they're only minus 2.5. You're going to get a lot of sucker bets on Iowa in this game. So give me Penn State all day.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. I mean, that Maryland game, a lot of people loved Maryland last week as a dog.
Yeah,
and they got absolutely murdered with Iowa. So what I'm looking at with this game pretty much is Penn State has just been dominant. They've had some good games. I really like what Clifford's doing. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's thrown for 1,300 yards this season. The run game hasn't been that good. But Dotson, I absolutely love Dotson at the wideout position. He'll be a first-round pick this year. He's been absolutely nasty. He leads the team in touchdowns with 6 and receiving yards. And Penn State is ranked 16th in the country for causing turnovers this season. So they can get after it on the defensive side and cause some havoc. Iowa, talked about it. They came off that dominant Maryland win. This Iowa team isn't your typical Iowa team. The run game is very underwhelming, but the pass game's been solid. 60% of the bets have been on Iowa, like you were talking about, and the line's going down. We absolutely love this scenario when people are betting the other team that we do not like, and then the line's going down. It's reversing in our favor. Penn State's defense is ranked 33rd in the country in total yards, and Iowa's offensive total yards is ranked 119th in the country, Russ. 119th in the country, offensive total yards. Penn State will score on this defense. Mark my words. So I like Penn State here. They're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 meetings against Iowa. So they've been able to cover against this team. Give me the Nittany Lions. I like them at 3.5. It went down to 1.5. I don't care. This dog is
down
live.
to 1.5. Nice.
Yep. It's down to 1.5. Give me the Nittany Lions plus 1.5 and the outright.
Nice. I'll jump into a couple games that you actually like this week. We got Utah at USC. The spread's at -3. Who you liking in that game?
I really like Utah here. This is kind of a weird situation. I'm not going to lie here. Utah won 24-13 against Washington State. USC, they won it easily against Colorado, 37-14. Utah is coming off this bye. Double revenge game. This is good starting points for this game right here. USC covered both times, and USC won by 16. Now the line is 3, even with the QB situation that's going on for the Utes with Cameron Rising starting the last 2 games. The QB situation has not been good. The run game is what is giving this offense the power that it needs. 3 running backs, at least 6 yards a carry, led by Bernard, who leads the team in rushing yards. He's a little banged up right now, so I'm not sure if he's going to be out or not, but I don't think that's too alarming because I think the team as a whole has been running really well. Even without the great play as far as the QB goes, the wideout group has been pretty solid. All 4 of them have averaged at least 11 yards a catch. So while the QB play hasn't been that good, the wide receivers have stepped up in these big explosive plays, which I really like. The tight end duo of Brant Keithy and Dalton Kincaid, they lead the team in receiving yards. They really like using these tight ends here. And Utah is 0-4 against the spread this season, Russ. So I like this spot right here. Everyone is taking USC right here. This is the perfect spot where the books are going to be able to hit everybody right here when everyone's going to be taking USC. I'm not falling for it. This USC team, we talked about on the first show how much I love them. They've had a coaching issue. He got fired. They've been back and forth. Slovitz has been so inconsistent this year, quarterback. He's had 7 TDs, 4 picks. The offense hasn't been as special as I thought it was going to be this year. And with 72% of the public money taking USC and the line is going down, if you were part of the Discord, I put this bet in at +4. So if you were a subscriber, you got +4 with me right here. Now it's down to 3. The line's going down with all this USC money coming in. I will be more than happy to take Utah +3. And I like the under because the run game is going to be utilized here. So give me the Utes +3.
I actually saw you put that game up. I actually did like that, actually. I was checking that out. Definitely like Utah. I had them as a team that should be improved this year, so I'm a little disappointed how they've been playing so far. And just saw something real quick. USC, it looks like they have Notre Dame coming up, so you always know that's a big game that they get excited for. They have a bye, and then they play Notre Dame. So definitely would be a great spot for Utah to take advantage of them here.
And actually, we got a message from the board. My boy Mitch is checking in. He's got a barn burner for me. UConn, UMass.
I'm cracking up because Did you see this line at all? Did you see this at all?
I see the line. Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
I couldn't believe my eyes, man. I saw UConn was favored on the road. I think it was -3.5.
That is correct. UConn is a favorite on the road -3.5.
I'm sorry, but when I see a bad team favored, I mean, it tells me that UConn should cover this game. Actually, there's actually a team worse than UConn, so I would take UConn here, Mitch.
Yeah, the line I'll tell you right now, the fact
they're favored on the road, right? So that's pretty nuts. They would be favored over a touchdown if they were home. That's just absurd.
I'll tell you what here. This game in general is just the toilet bowl of all toilet bowls. I'm glad he brought this up over here.
How much are the tickets? I might take a drive, dude.
Oh, dude, I think it's free admission. I think it's free admission.
I hope
so. Nice
so.
little Saturday over here. I don't think I can convince the wife for me that I'm going to one of the worst games in America.
Yeah, I think she'll think you're lying, man.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like I'm up to no good or something, which I don't do anything. But that's besides the point here nor there. But the over-under is 56.5. 2 really bad teams. This has got to be an over here, Russ. 56.5. I cannot imagine. Right? I would have thought this game would have been like 44-43. The over-under.
What's the over-under at?
56.5.
Okay, I thought you said 46.5. So yeah, definitely an over type of game.
So Mitch, I actually would just take the over. Just watch ESPN 8 or 10 with the camcorder guy. Just enjoy the points. I would just take the over. That seems like the right play to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Good luck, Mitch. We'll be talking about that later. I want to know what the results are. I'm going to be looking up that game on
I'm telling you, that's an
Saturday.
over game. I might just put that in. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. You have to go on the Discord and see if I'm going to play it. So we'll check
I don't know
out.
if you're feeling that froggy. We'll see.
I know. I was feeling froggy last week, and I was able to get out alive. So we'll see what happens.
So you have one more game that you actually like, and I'm kind of curious who you're going to pick because I actually had this game on my radar too. We got Boise State at BYU, and BYU is -6 in this game.
Yeah, so Boise State at BYU -6. The over-under is 56.5. Boise State losing to the Nevada Wolfpack 31-41. That came out of nowhere. BYU won against Utah State 34-20. Pure domination going on. Everyone loved Utah State. I had them at the right point against Air Force. Then I jumped right off. Everybody else was still on them, and then that was a hot mess. So we got Utah State at the right point as a dog, winning outright at that point. Speaking of revenge tour, that was one of those revenge tour games as well. But as far as this Boise State game going here, Boise's coming off this loss. You're getting more points now because of this. This is the biggest game of the year, Russ. How many times have you seen Boise State have a double revenge game?
I know. I couldn't believe that. I was been looking at it the past couple an hour ago when I was looking at the game. I was like,
you don't see this often with a Boise State team. We're going to take advantage of it. BYU killed them 51-17 last year, and the line is still the same with BYU being ranked 10th in the entire country. Hank Bachmeier has been real solid this year, quarterback. 11 TDs, 1,500 passing yards. He's a junior. He wants to win this game. His last 2 years, they've been getting their butts whooped by the Cougars over here. So this is very personal to him as well. But Khalil Shakir, he's been amazing. These games I've watched for Boise State at wideout, he catches everything. This dude is unreal. He's got to be in the league once he's I don't know what year he is off the top of my head, but he's definitely going to be a guy in the league because he is absolutely nasty. But Boise State passing yards, 18th in the country. BYU pass defense is ranked 99th in the country, Russ. This team has been dominating, but that pass defense has not been good. Bachmeier should be able to eat here. What are your thoughts about this game?
I agree with you. I like Boise State here. It's more of just me fading BYU. I mean, they're in the top 10. This team should not be in the top 10. It's absolutely crazy. I can't wait till they play an actual good team. Because I'm a little bitter because I've been hot the past couple of weeks in college football, and I think 3 weeks ago I had Arizona State against BYU, and some of the craziest plays happened in that game. BYU somehow won that game. They should have lost that game. Dude, Arizona State had like 16 penalties in that game or something. And I have to look back at this game. It was like one of the craziest like turnovers where they got like an interception and then gave the ball right back or something. It was like, I got to look this back up again because it was some crazy shit that was going on in that game. But BYU, now they're in the favorite situation here. And even if BYU does win the game, you got to think it's going to be a close game at that anyway. So Boise State is definitely a smart play there.
Yeah, and as far as BYU goes, both QBs, Hall and Romney, are banged up, and it's still unclear who's going to play quarterback this week. I mean, there's such a question mark. They really don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be, and that's a big issue. And Neil Powell and Gunnar Romney, they've been great for the Cougars. I mean, as far as the bright points of this offense, Algiers been really good running the ball, 7 TDs. The defense is ranked 28th in the country in takeaways, but the Broncos, they're 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games as a road underdog. Questions about the quarterback on BYU side, revenge, double revenge on top of that with a team that never has double revenge. They just came off a loss looking ahead to this game. This is personal. Give me the 6 points, Russ. Boise State.
I just had to play my clip on that game. I actually found it. I'm watching Arizona State. They're down 4. BYU throws an interception. Arizona State, the guy's taking it to the house, man. The guy catches up to him. He fumbles, and BYU gets the ball back. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, how do you do that? Yeah, so just the game I remember. You always
man. Those are some of the games I remember, man. for sure. Yeah, you know, they hurt sometimes, but we get through and we keep winning every week, Russ.
Get
That's
right
what we've
back
been
up
doing.
again, right?
Absolutely. But thank you guys again for listening, watching. We are podcasted now. So if you want to listen in your car or anywhere else, if you're unable to watch the video, even though we like you guys watching the video as well, because you know, it's great seeing us on the screen, of course. But yeah, as far as the podcasting goes, we're also on there as well. But you can find me at Chris Ebom. My name is Chris Exusion. You can find me on Twitter. Ask me any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. He's Russ Reese. He's the Vegas line reader. He's also available for all your questions and needs. And Russ, let's go have another winning week again.
Definitely. Yeah. Appreciate all the guys asking questions. Don't hesitate to ask us every week for advice. You can also ask Anthony advice for DFS too. And appreciate the support, guys. If you could just hit the like button to get us more noticed, and subscribe so you guys don't miss these videos every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep, absolutely, guys. Be sure to spread the word about Tackle the Board. And Russ, let's go make that money.
It's going to be another winning week. Let's go.